So I'm heading south along the San Mateo County coastline here. I'm heading to a new location, so I'm kind of excited about that. Going down to meet my friend Scott to do some painting at Bonny Doon Beach, which is a little bit north of Santa Cruz. This whole stretch of coastline is amazing. From Half Moon Bay to Santa Cruz, it's about 50 miles of pretty much, you know, undeveloped farmland and coastline. I'm excited to be checking out a new location, but I'm making a quick stop here in Pescadero to get a coffee and use the facilities, because I think where I'm heading there are no bathrooms or anything. So anyway, so that's the plan. Pretty quiet around here on a Monday morning. Not much going on. I'm looking forward to painting in this location because I've seen pictures of it, but I've never actually been there. So we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I'm here at Bonny Doon Beach, and I'm here with Scott Hamill, and he's showing me his cool setup.
This is my sweet setup. Check it out. I got a bed, camping. I made some curtains. This is my drawer. All my painting gear.
Is that like a wet panel carrier kind of thing?
Yeah, wet panel carrier.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
So
okay.
Just strap it on the back.
Oh, what a good idea. Oh, that's good. Yeah.
You know.
Oh, that's cool.
This is the kitchen. If you'd like, I'll make you a little cappuccino later, or maybe some
wow.
soup.
Look at that.
And then you can pop this baby on over here, and that's your bar area. So you can. So it's actually really sweet. When I cook, I'm done. I'm gonna just have my burner here, and I boil my water, make my soup or whatever. And then when I'm done, I just pack it all in and slide it right in, and there's no mess. The painting gear goes in here. Got my big easel there.
Oh yeah, so you got the Anderson style as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyway.
Yeah, man, that's great.
And it's just on skateboard wheel bearings back in there. And there's a couple spots there for poles.
See, and the cool thing too is that, like, I know when I go out painting, sometimes, you know, the idea of, like, even if I could just lay down and take a nap or whatever, you know, and then I'd have the energy to do another one.
Yeah, you would. It's just a little midday break and you feel good.
Exactly.
This design came from the great John Crump in New Zealand. Look him up.
Okay, cool. Right on. Okay, so I'm just ducking out of the wind here. It's pretty windy today, but really beautiful spot. So we're just looking around, trying to find find a good composition that's hopefully out of the wind. I found something that looks good, although it is in a windy location. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. So we will see. Okay, so I have to keep ducking behind this sort of these rocks to get some wind protection, but I'm gonna go for it. It's definitely like the windiest location I've ever painted in, but it's just so beautiful I can't pass it up. So I'll show you what I'm looking at. I'm actually using a canvas or an old panel that was a wipeout from before, so it's kind of got this like greenish gray color. I'm not sure how that's gonna affect the final product, but I'm gonna go for it. Okay, so I just did my sketch in burnt sienna, and I'm not sure about this composition. It'll be a good experiment. We'll see. I'm feeling like everything is kind of a little bit too low, but I want to include the top of these cliffs here, so I'm just gonna start roughing in some color and see how it looks. And I can always change it if I want to, so we'll see. Okay, so I keep on putting more and more rocks in my bag here, but my easel is still kind of starting to tip over. But here's what I've come up with so far, and it's only been like a half hour at most, and I'm gonna try to tune up the color and just maybe leave it as a quick sketch. Okay, so it's time for an update. The wind definitely beat me. I kept piling rocks into my bag and still my easel blew over. I mean, I caught it, but it just, so I had to move around the corner behind these rocks. And I once heard that like Van Gogh wanted to paint in a storm, and so he like set up behind a building and then would pop his head out and look, and then go back behind the building and paint, and then go look again. That's kind of what I'm doing right now. I'm kind of like behind these rocks, going, looking, then going back. Anyway, I'm gonna go over and see what Scott's come up with. Nice color going in these shadows here. So he's doing this cliff, and so did you use, how many brushes do you typically use like to do something like this?
So I use a lot. Like, look, I've got like, I usually end up cleaning about 6 to 8 brushes. So various sizes. I like starting big. This is a 12, and a dark, and then I just kind of whack all that in, and then I'll move to my mid-tone with another big brush, and then I'll, you know, so I really like to sort of look for a brush that's in that value and that temperature, and then grab it and start working with that.
Cool. And then are you using any medium for yours?
Yeah, I like to use use Liquin, or else I use a walnut oil with alkyd in it. Liquin does outside, for me, dries pretty quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can use that to your advantage, but sometimes I go back into a passage and it's already dry and it doesn't feel that good. So a lot of times I'll use walnut oil outside.
Yeah. Cool.
It's a great spot, right?
Yeah. Okay, so here's more or less the finished product. As I mentioned, I was behind some rocks and you know, kept popping my head out and looking and then going back. But I realized it was kind of difficult to that was pretty difficult to do. I don't know how effective it really was. So I decided to kind of just stop and just, you know, accept it for what it was. And it was probably about, I think I painted for maybe an hour, but the wind just kept getting stronger and stronger. And as I mentioned, I was putting more and more rocks in my bag, but it didn't help. It still almost blew over. So yeah, so that's kind of where I left it. Okay, so I was reviewing today's footage, and I noticed that I really liked the painting just after the block-in. In fact, I think I like it better than the finished product. So I was thinking it might be a fun thing to do, is just get a bunch of panels and go out and just do block-ins, and don't do any detail, don't take it any further. Just give myself like a half hour, simple, strong brush strokes, and just leave it, and then come back and see how I feel about it. So that might be something that I'll do in a future video. It could be kind of a cool exercise. But it was great getting out there today with Scott. It was fun going to a new location, despite the windy conditions. So yeah, it was really cool. It was fun to see Scott's process as well. I noticed he has a similar plein air setup to me, the kind with the box that folds open. And then also he uses Liquin outside as well. But he also uses the walnut oil alkyd by M. Graham Company. I have some of that stuff too. I'll use it occasionally. And it does speed up drying, but not as fast as Liquin does. And as he mentioned, the Liquin, sometimes while you're painting, especially if it's like a dry, hot day, your painting will start drying as you're painting it, and it can be kind of tacky, can be kind of a difficult surface to work with. So in those instances, he uses the walnut oil alkyd, which is also fast drying, but not quite as fast drying. So I have not tried it. I've just used it for touch-ups around the studio, but I've not tried it plein air painting. So maybe I'll give that stuff a try. Plein air painting, and see how I like it. The other thing that I thought was really cool was his wet panel carriers. They're really compact and portable. Mine tend to be a little bit bulkier. So when you're like backpacking around and stuff, to have a smaller wet panel carrier is really cool. So I may make some of those, and if I do, I'll make a video about that or include it in a video. So anyway, yeah, it was a great day. I'll leave Scott's Instagram information in the description below. And also I want to just thank my new Patreon supporters. Really appreciate that. If you're interested in supporting the channel, I'll leave a link to my Patreon in the description as well. And you can head over and check it out. I've got some Patreon only videos, sort of behind the scenes, and that sort of thing. So anyway, that's it for today's video. Thanks again for hanging out, and I will see you next time.